My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you're here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. A friend of mine told me the story of one time when he got into a terrible car accident. He was getting into the highway in the feeder, and he got hit on the side by a car that was coming really fast and who had done like a weird move and hit him in the side. He ended up rolling over, ending up upside down on his roof, and he was really hurt. The car was destroyed, and he was kind of like there trying to realize, okay, what just happened here? One of these accidents, right? That just hits you, and you weren't expecting it, obviously. And so he's there bleeding, upside down, hurting. And all of a sudden, this police officer comes up. He had seen everything. He comes up to the scene. He was a very young police officer, probably his first accident ever. And he surprisingly asked him, my friend, right, who was in the car, bleeding upside down, he asked him to show him his driver's license. And this guy was so amazed. I mean, like, obviously, the police officer himself was in shock. He didn't know what to do. And the only thing that came out of his mouth was his training, right? Driver's license. Obviously, my friend did not show him his driver's license, and not like he could reach out for it. I mean, he was upside down, bleeding, hurting. He didn't want to move. So he started like calling all kinds of names and someone like to help him. Well, it's interesting, Miles. It's a very funny scene now that we look back on it because he was okay. Everything was fine. But it's obviously a very silly question to ask. And I thought to start this meditation with this scene because it's a little bit the way the world is right now. The world is a little bit like in a car wreck. Things are out of whack. People are suffering. There's a lot of sin and people in very irregular situations. I mean, it's pretty messed up, like a car after a car accident. And all of us, Catholics, Christians, followers of Christ, people in the church trying to help others, need to help the world and need to help those people. We are the ones like arriving on the scene and realizing that this guy is upside down bleeding. And obviously, it wouldn't make sense that we ask him for his driver's license or any other kind of question that is out of place. We need to take care of the basics, right? Help him out if that is safe. Call the police, call an ambulance, encourage him, tell him that things will be all right. Try to clean him up. I don't know. Get a doctor, obviously, because you don't want to touch someone that is in that situation. The church is in this world that is a little bit in a car wreck. And we need to help people in the right way. Asking the right questions, taking care of the right things. And this is now no news in the church. The church has been in crisis from day one. This is the situation in which Jesus himself was in when he first came to the world. And actually, we know because we read in the Gospels, and today's Gospel tells us about how Jesus came to the houses and had meals with the sinners. The Pharisees and scribes actually start complaining because he was eating with tax collectors and sinners. And they complained and they criticized him. They said, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Like if that were a bad thing. And Jesus will answer back and he will say, not criticizing them, but he addresses a parable for them. And he says, what man among you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, would not leave the 99 in the desert and go after the lost one until he finds it? And when he finds it, he sets it on his shoulders with great joy. And upon his arrival home, he calls together his friends and neighbors and says to them, rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep. And then he says, I tell you, in just the same way, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous people who have no need of repentance. There will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents. That sheep that is lost. And maybe we're thinking now that, well, it's more like 90 sheep are lost, or 99, and one is not. And we need to help those lost sheep. There are many around us. And maybe we find those lost sheep in our families, maybe our friends, colleagues, classmates. They're everywhere. They're lost because they haven't gotten good formation, because they don't know the teachings of Jesus Christ, because they grew up kind of crooked. And it wouldn't make sense for us to kind of be concerned about all the little details, right? Of how they're living, their plan of life, or how they're going to mass during the week, or if they're going to confession every week. Maybe those people are like really far away, and what they need to is more basic, right? And we need to help them there. This is something that Pope Francis has been insisting on quite a bit. When he tells us that what the church needs most today is the ability to heal wounds and to harm the hearts of the faithful. We need to be close to those people. We need to be there with them, helping them. And he tells us that he sees the church as a field hospital after a big battle. I don't know if thank God I've never been in a battlefield after war, after combat, but obviously it must be terrible if we read all these books and seen movies, all these wounded people out there, and doctors going out to find them and help them and heal the biggest wounds, just trying to keep them alive. Obviously, it wouldn't make any sense if the doctor comes up and starts asking about his high cholesterol, right? About the level of his blood sugar, or starts, I don't know, taking his blood pressure. Those are details, right? It doesn't really matter in that moment when the guy's his leg chopped off. What you need to do is stop the bleeding. What you focus on as a doctor is to heal the wound that is making this person bleed and die before you get into other aspects, right? His diet, his health habits, right? Whether he washes his hands or not. Starting from the ground up, I'm sure we all have people around us that are in difficult situations. Let's help them. Let's go to the bigger wounds, right? Let's worry about that. And then slowly taking them up an inclined plane, help them grow, coming closer to God, and cleaning up those big messes that they have. And then slowly they can start getting into more specific things and learning more about the teachings of the church. With patience, with love, with understanding, being close to them, not judging them from the start, or pushing them out because they're not perfect, if they're in a regular situation, like a field hospital, going out to get everyone. And how happy will heaven be? All the angels and the saints and God himself. One of those people who are in sin finds God and comes closer to him. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.